Now, some of the province's biggest developers are sounding the alarm in a letter to Ottawa and Victoria. If we don't reopen the door to a foreign capital carefully but quickly, we risk a full-blown construction crash. What's the issue? Well, with early-stage investment, many condo and rental projects can't hit the financing thresholds needed to break ground. Well, joining me now to talk about the state of the industry is Chris Gardner, president of the Independent Contractors and Businesses Association of BC. Chris, good to see you again.
Good afternoon.
What's the current mood in the construction industry? I read articles here and there. I pick up information here and there. How would you describe the current mood in the construction sector?
I think there's a lot of concern. People are worried, and the reason why they're worried is the slowdown is in the residential construction side of the industry is so significant that what we're starting to see now, and there's been some high-profile announcements from different developers or projects that have been canceled. Developers are laying people off. And so for the builders, the contractors, the subcontractors who do the work, whether that's you're starting to do the site preparation, excavation, mechanical, electrical, drywall, roofers, all of those subcontractors are now looking at their order books, and they've dried up. And so we're starting to see layoffs in the subcontractor community that we have not seen in a decade. If you told me, a year and a half ago, if you said, hey, Chris, I've got 10 friends of mine who are carpenters, electricians, plumbers, they need help getting a job, we'd have them on a job site the next day. That is not happening today. The reverse is happening. And so the industry is in trouble. There's no soft landing. It's going to be a hard landing. It's going to be very difficult. And 2026 is setting up to be a very, very challenging year for construction. And I would say one of the most challenging in at least a decade.
I know immigration obviously has slowed significantly, but you're saying, okay, if folks aren't working, they're not building. Does that not say inevitably somewhere along the way we're going to hit a moment where that starts impacting price? And we still got to keep building, right?
So on the building side, we have struggled in Canada to get enough supply into the market. And CMHC recently came out in the last few days with their projections for numbers of homes that will be built this year, next year, the year after. And we're heading on a trajectory where we're going to be building less homes this year, next year, and the year after than we did in 1972. And so you just think about it, it's 2 generations where we have not been able to increase the number of units on supply. So now what will happen in the market? There is going to be price corrections of inventory that is on the market now that is completed and not sold. So what we're seeing in the market in the Lower Mainland is some owners of condos where projects are finished and those completed units are sitting empty are starting to be sold at discounted rates below the level that it costs the developer to build it. So maybe 10%, 15%, 20%. So you're going to see that. But it still won't address in a significant and meaningful way the affordability challenge that we face in the marketplace. And that's really what is at the root of all of this. How do we get affordable housing at some scale into the marketplace?
In this case, you talked about layoffs, projects being just canceled. So in your mind, this isn't just a financing issue, and I touched that in the intro. It's a policy issue too then.
Yeah, listen, we've got construction, real estate development. You put all of that together, all the consultants and all of the people who work in construction to building. It's about 30% of our economy, 30%. This is going to have a big impact. I don't think that elected officials in Ottawa or Victoria and at some city halls recognize the scale of the problem that is about to be upon us. We've been talking about an affordability crisis in housing for many, many years. The challenge is we haven't acted like we were really in a crisis. We talked a lot about it. We threw that word around. There's been some policy measures from Ottawa, Victoria, different cities. There's a lot of finger pointing. There's no coordination, no collaboration. And we've just seen affordability spiral out of control. And now what we're doing is we're hitting a point where there's now going to be layoffs, much, much less supply. And when you start seeing significant layoffs in an industry that drives 30% of our economy, there's going to be knock-on effects across British Columbia and other sectors.
Yeah. Now, this letter that's been sent by very high-profile developers to Housing Minister Gregor Robertson in Ottawa and also sent to Victoria as well. I mean, listen to some of these names. The companies BD Living, Westbank, Amicon, Cressy, Polygon, Westbuild. These are household names. here in Vancouver, basically saying that we need some level of foreign investment to provide the capital for early stages of condo projects, especially. That's how the math works. Now, as I said, this letter was also sent to Victoria. Premier David Eby today, he's up in Kitimat, was asked about this letter. And here's his response. Let's take a listen.
We're not going back to the old model of doing things. People need homes. We need to build for the domestic market.
Now, Mr. Eby, as you heard from him there, says, you know, whatever we're doing now is connected to the local economy and local people. Now, I should reiterate that the foreign buyers ban is federal. We have a speculation tax, and we have other taxes here in regards to tamping down some of that impact from foreign buyers. What do you say to the Premier's response there? Do you think it's actually genuine?
Well, first of all, his comments reflect really a fundamental lack of understanding about what's been happening in the housing market. He talks about the previous government. This is a government, the NDP been in power for the last 8 years. So I don't know why he's going back a decade ago. And nobody here, and the letter is very clear, nobody's talking about selling condos to foreign buyers and having them sit empty. We know that didn't work. What we're saying is, there is a role for foreign investment. And the irony of the Premier being in Kitimat was that he was there to talk to the Haisla Nation about their LNG facility. And LNG Canada is right next door. And LNG Canada is the biggest private sector investment in the history of this country, and it's foreign investment. So there's a role. We know what worked and we know what didn't work. And what we're saying is, in the middle of a housing crisis, we need to look at everything. And what he did was he listed off all these taxes: speculation tax, education tax, foreign buyers tax. I can say right now with certainty, it's been proven out, we will not tax our way to housing affordability. It's a failed model. And so what we're saying to the Premier and to the new Prime Minister and to mayors across the region is we've got to look at every single opportunity to do things differently. There's not one silver bullet here. Just basically finding a way to have foreign investors take some of the financial burden of funding housing off of Ottawa and Victoria, which is ratcheting up debt that's out of control, is a good thing. But we need to do a dozen things, not just one thing. And that's where I think the Premier is really been absent in this affordability crisis. He doesn't understand it. His government doesn't understand it. Ottawa doesn't understand it. Every single thing they've done, every single policy initiative they've rolled out has not worked.
Yeah, people sometimes forget to get a project off the ground and complete it. Forget about the building that is built at the end of it. It's actually the near-term economics, getting that project past the finish line, has to occur before you can look at a nice big gleaming building and 500 new housing units. And that's where that foreign investment does come from. Hey, give us a call on the open line. Want to hear from you on this issue. What do you think of this idea of allowing foreign investment so we can actually start building again? We've got major builders, BD Living, Westbank, Amacon, Cressy, and Polygon arguing that there has to be some level of foreign investment to provide the capital for the early stages of these condo projects to actually get the go-ahead. Our guest is Chris Gardner, president of the Independent Contractors and Business Association of BC. Should we allow foreign investment, to at least loosen the rules to allow foreign investment in housing here in British Columbia? Give us a call on the open line. Would love to hear from you, 604-280-9898. Let's go to Don in Vancouver. Hi, Don.
Hey, how you doing, Jas?
I'm doing well. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I have this question. I keep hearing conversations constantly from the builders, from the politicians, from you, and everybody who talks about housing, about affordable housing. And I'm just wondering, what does that mean? Does it mean that if we build more and more houses, that the price of houses is going to come down? Because that's what's going to make them affordable. Not building more houses that are worth the same amount of money that we see everywhere around us today. So I'd like your guest to maybe explain what that term means.
It is a good question in regards to what do we define as affordable, Chris. I it's whatever you can afford, I guess, ultimately. But the core issue you've brought up in the past have been what's driving up those costs in regards to affordability. And I think one of the things we've been talking about is development cost charges being one of them, right?
Yeah, one of the things that we talk about a lot is taking the cost out of construction. So do we believe that we should be building more? Yes, we need more supply. But we also need to be able to deliver the housing to the first-time buyer or the marketplace at a more reasonable cost than we're able to now. And if you look at all the taxes and fees that have been levied onto homes, we have taxed housing to the point we've just used it as, governments have come along and put this tax on housing, and you heard the Premier list off all these taxes, and those taxes have made housing more expensive, not more affordable. You've got the building code. We've called on the government last week in a letter to stop the adoption of the BC Energy Step Code 4 and 5. And those requirements will tighten the regulations around what you build and what you need to put into a house to meet GHG emissions and get to homes that are zero GHG emissions. And so by doing that, though, the cost is going to be significant.
Do you have a number by any chance? Like, could you say what the step code 4 and 5 would mean?
Oh, I would say, then just in talking to builders, that we could be looking at another, 10% increase in the cost because of all of a lot of builders are saying to me, let's go back to the building code of 2008 in around that period of time, because between now and then, just the building code has increased costs about 40%.
40%?
Yeah, between 2008 and today.
That's a lot of money to save the world.
That's a lot of, it's a lot of money because some of it is obviously green buildings related, but some of it is safety and a whole bunch of other. But every time you make one change and you look at that one change and I say, well, that's great, we should do that. What they're not looking at is the other 100 changes that we've made, and each one of them add $1,000 here, $15,000 here, $500 here, and it all just adds up. So you've got building code requirements that I think are effectively out of control. You've got the taxes and fees that are being levied, not only by cities, but by Metro Vancouver. Metro Vancouver is increasing its development cost charges this year and next year by 300%, going from about $6,000 to $9,000 per unit per door to about $26,000 to $30,000 per unit per door in 2 years. It's just government not thinking, not understanding the problem, not working with industry, not collaborating. Metrovan's doing one thing, City Halls are doing another thing, Victoria's doing something, and then Ottawa's going to do something. And it's all working and conspiring against first-time home buyers and people who want to buy and think that as their kids are starting to get into the job market, they actually have a realistic expectation of buying a home, and the answer is they won't. And they can't.
Let's go to Todd. And from what I can tell here, you're on Grandview Highway. Hi, Todd.
How's it going, buddy?
I'm doing well. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I want to say everything that guy just said is 100% true. Those are all real issues that we're dealing with that could affect and change the situation. But the fact of the matter is we're just not even trying to build low-income housing. These developers only care about luxury condos. I've been in the industry myself, building these things for the last 25 years, and the only projects we do, we build luxury condos 1,000 to 1 to affordable housing units, and it basically these guys are just looking to get more money. They all get well over $100,000 a year. There's massive waste on every single job site. They are not being there's no pressure on them to improve the efficiency of the job site.
All right, Todd, I'm gonna have to cut you off right there. We're just running out of time. We got about 30 seconds left, and I wanted Chris to respond.
Yeah, listen, I think the challenge with how we define luxury is in the middle of an affordability crisis is that if you had a 1,200 square foot unit, it's selling for $1.8 million. Like, who can afford that? That would be defined as luxury by anyone's definition. We've got to take the costs out of construction. It's going to take government working with industry in a more genuine way. And the idea that we're going to tax our way to affordability has been proven to not work. The idea that we're going to have a building code that doesn't make sense, is out of step with reality, that's not working. We've got to go back to the drawing board if we're going to get to affordable housing.